Today I will talk about hacking mobile apps. You might wonder, there's like very complicated title, but more on that later. I'm Krzysztof in Polish. I am ex-Android developer. In my previous life, I developed mobile apps. And for like few years, I work as a Paramount backend engineer. And this presentation is kind of sequel to the presentation I gave together with Kamil 8 years ago. And it was about hacking mobile apps as well, quite some time. And I wondered like how the mobile security landscape has changed over the years, like what has happened, like whether it's improved or maybe not. So I tried to look around and find some real application in the wild and see how they can be hacked. I took a lazy mode approach, so I didn't want to do any coding. I didn't want to use any advanced tooling. I just wanted to put myself in the shoes of some kind of like lazy attacker. And what I did, after I put my son in the kindergarten, I went to nearby cafe to grab some coffee. And I noticed a strange device at the counter. And I asked the coffee owner, what is this device? And the owner explained me that this is kind of like loyalty card program. So you basically install an app on your device, and when you grab a coffee, when you order some lunch in some other place, you get a stamp. And when you collect enough stamps, you get a free drink or free lunch. So the beacon itself looks like that. This is the beacon you tap your phone to. And it has two icons. One is a Bluetooth icon, and the second one is NFC. And for me, it sparked my imagination how this device is secured, like whether this has some, I don't know, two-factor authorization, some kind of like encryption itself. So many questions. So I talked with an owner at this place and thought maybe I could play with this device a little more and see what happens. And the owner of this venue agreed. So I went to this place next day with my laptop, and I used the packet logger application to capture Bluetooth traffic to see how this beacon communicates with the phone. So I ran the packet logger. I took the device from the beacon from the counter. I put it near my laptop, and I tapped my phone and tried to capture traffic. And nothing happened. It turned out that the beacon itself do not use any Bluetooth technology. So they basically put a Bluetooth icon for nothing there. That was strange. So I thought, maybe I could do something with NFC. And for NFC, I used a new shiny tool called Flipper Zero. I don't know if you are familiar with it. The Flipper Zero is a Swiss Army knife for penetration testing. You could do you can play with RFID, you can play with NFC, with infrared, you can even open the home systems like eye buttons, like those metal pins that you touch and the door opens. And you can play with some frequencies below below 1 gigahertz. So another day, another kindergarten, another visit to the cafe. So I took my Flipper Zero and I opened the NFC section, and I wanted to read the contents of the NFC tag to see how it's encrypted. And it turned out that it's not. It's just a plain NFC that you can read, like you can read the whole contents of the NFC tag, and you can clone it. You can your Flipper Zero can act as this NFC tag. So the scenario is the following: you go to the cafe, you buy a coffee, and instead tapping your phone, you just tap your Flipper Zero, and then not nice. Actually, I did this experiment in few of the places, and the staff didn't bother to ask me what I'm doing. Like, this looks like a fancy smartphone, probably. But we don't have Bluetooth. We have static NFC. So I wondered maybe there's something interesting in the mobile app. So let's do some mobile app exploration. As I mentioned, I didn't want to use any of sophisticated tools. So I picked the dumbest tool I could imagine, which is Charles Proxy. And for the proxy configuration, as Kamil mentioned, I used just a simple proxy in the system. So I installed the root certificate on my phone to capture encrypted traffic, and then I set up the proxy. And I made like a clean installation of this application. And it turns out that this application, when it starts, it downloads the whole database of all of the venues in the system. Like it takes all cafes and restaurants that this vendor has, even inactive ones, and it also contains a very strange field called tags. And it turns out that this identifier is baked in NFC. So what you can do now, you have list of all the venues, and you have list of all the unique identifiers. So you can launch a hex editor, and you can craft NFC tag for a place you have never been to, and you can collect stamps for that place. Pretty serious, and also you can collect points through the API as well, because it's why not? And interestingly, they made some validations, because some places don't want to collect stamps more often than, like, I don't know, 6 hours. But this whole validation is done on the mobile app side. So if you use like a API request, you can collect points to get your free ramen within seconds. And this is serious, but there's one more thing. And the slide from Apple's conference is no coincidence here. It turns out that developers of this application, they wanted to make life of iPhone users easier. So whenever you interact with NFC tag on iPhone, you need to have your application opened. But if you register a custom universal link, then there's like a notification coming up, even though if app is not in the foreground. So they did exactly that. They registered a custom URI, and this custom URI is stored on an NFC tag. So whenever you tap your device to the beacon, there's a notification to open the app and clone it. But they registered custom URI in the system. So you can leverage that knowledge and make a cure with this URI. And then you can make the whole process of collecting stamps even more easier for you. So what was the moral of this story? Like the security issues from like 8 years ago and from now, they haven't changed. Like they are still the same, but what have changed are the tooling that we have right now. Like 8 years ago, we didn't have Flipper Zero, which is pretty convenient and easy to use, and we have like a lot better tooling nowadays. So what are the main sins, so to speak, of those developers of this application? First off, they are using static NFC tags. So this static information is very prone to replay attack. You can just clone the communication and play it again. The second thing is information exposure. Like they exposed all the unique and somehow secure identifiers in their API. So it's like you shouldn't send this information because it allows the attacker to like target any place. And the biggest issue is trusting the app. Like I think that they thought that application cannot be like sniffed or cannot be modified. So please don't. Also, I would consider adding SSL pinning, even though it's not a real security because you can bypass that. But I think that, like for me, as a lazy attacker, I think I wouldn't bother. I mean, I wouldn't bother by bypassing SSL pinning. Probably I would just give up. And while I was doing all of this, I thought how to make this like loyalty points, stamps collecting process secure. So I thought about like two ways. The first is to use public-private key infrastructure together with NFC. So we have a server, we have a client, and we have our beacon. Let's say that clients want to collect a stamp. So they ask the server to get some kind of like a random challenge. And this random challenge is sent to beacon, and the beacon encrypts the challenge with its private key that is stored on beacon only. The encrypted response is sent back to the client, and the client sends it to the server. And server validates the response with its public key. And when when they match, stamp can be collected. Of course, this setup makes the NFC more expensive, and you also need to somehow manage private and public keys throughout many venues, many places. Second scenario, I thought, is using nonce through the QR. And so let's say we have like a client, we have a bartender, and we have a server. So client asks bartender to collect a stamp, and bartender has its own application, and they get a nonce. A nonce is just a random string that is used once, and server gives that to the bartender application. And this nonce is presented to the client using a QR code. Client reads the QR code, sends the nonce to the server, and then server validates whether the nonce was issued by the server. And if it was, then stamp gets collected. Of course, this is has also some drawbacks because you need to somehow train people like how to use some specialized application in some cafes when there's like a high turnover. People like stuff changes frequently. However, it's also a case. I think like the thing here is that like when you design such solution, you need to balance like security, accessibility, and cost, and other factors to make it like make it balanced, because you cannot concentrate on security only. So this is it. So do you have any questions?
How many copies did you drink?
None. I mean, in this place where I did those explorations, like the owner was kind of like stunned of how badly this app is designed. And even though like I drink coffee there, I said to them, I don't want to collect stamps because you wouldn't believe me anyway.
Thank you for the great presentation and very I would say extreme case of negligence here. I was wondering if you reached out to the vendor of the creator of the app with this as a security breach. So that's one question. And the other was both you and Kamil mentioned that SSL pinning is not actually like a real secure way to protect your backend. And I was wondering, what do you think about something from the Google offering called Firebase App Check, which they claim to be a way to safeguard your backend from kind of malicious or unauthorized clients? So these two questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the first one, I'm glad that you asked. Yes, I did. I wrote like a detailed explanation of my findings, but the owners of this application did not consider this as a security issue.
kind of understand them. Like if you have just like a classic stamps, you can just copy them with like an egg or potato or like a tape. I don't know if anybody tried to copy a stamp like as a kid. It takes like just ordinary kitchen vegetables and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like, I mean, for the Bluetooth, even though it's not used, for instance, if you disable Bluetooth on your device, the app explicitly requires it, so it refuses to work. And also about forging the stamps, you can like as you said, you can use a potato for like physical stamp, but consider this scenario. You have a QR code. Maybe if you are like a malicious competitor, you can put this QR code near other cafe for people to collect free drinks. I don't know. And as for Firebase, to be honest, I didn't know it. I don't know it because right now, like as my regular job, I do backend stuff right now. So I'm not really into mobile. But I think like the main principle here is that you shouldn't be putting this logic inside the app. I mean, maybe what they assumed, they wanted to do all the logic on the mobile because they wanted to avoid like they wanted to make it like offline or something, but you can do such collecting process offline in the secure way as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about this case, like how would you really like, you showed us like few ways how to do it in better way, but let's say you have this beacon. I don't see like other way how to do it. Maybe add some server checks, okay, but the main reason, like you have beacon, that's your confirmation that you are somewhere in some location.
Okay, so this was the this scenario here. You have a beacon that has a private key, so you send a random string to that beacon, and you get encrypted string back, and then you cannot validate this information on mobile. You need to validate it on the server. So without and this challenge changes with every request. So then there's no way to like it would only work if you would steal the beacon from the cafe.
But in this case, the beacon should be both and in each.
The beacon should be able to encrypt your challenge and return encrypted message back. Yeah.
Yeah, so talking about this case that you've just answered, so this beacon is no longer just a static NFC that's basically a circuit with no electric circuits inside, active circuits, but something more active, right? A device that responds to the NFC with the NFC response, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you, and